Well, hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making a cute little tooth fairy door hanging. Well, we all know how it goes, and at some point in time our young ones start losing their baby teeth. And you take that baby tooth and you place it under their pillow, and during the night the tooth fairy comes along, takes that pillow, and leaves behind a little bit of money to say thank you for the tooth. But what if your child is a light sleeper? Well, we don't want the tooth fairy waking them up now, do we? And that's what today's project is all about. And it all starts with a little bit of scrap plywood. So let's head over to the bench. Well, I have two scraps of plywood here. One of them is only 1/4 of an inch thick. The other one is 1/2 an inch thick, and I have cut them to be a measurement of roughly 2 3/4 by 4 inches. The measurements are not important here as long as they are both the same and as long as it fits your pattern. And what the pattern is this tooth. Now I've gone on the internet and I've just searched out an image for a tooth line drawing and picked one of them that I liked, and this one here happened to be the one that I liked. So I've printed it out so that it will fit on our blanks. I'm going to take our 1/4 inch thick piece and I'm going to coat the top of it with some masking tape. I'm going to spray our pattern of the tooth with some spray adhesive, let it tack up for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to center it on our 1/4 inch piece of plywood. Okay, so now it's time to mark out for our pocket that's going to hold our tooth and our money when everything is done. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to measure across, and we're going to put a center mark right here in the middle of our tooth. Looks to be roughly there. And now what I want to do is I want to use an 1 1/4 circle template. We're going to mark it just like this. I'm marking the center point here. We'll mark our circle template. We want to mark our center point just like that. So now what I want is the measurement of this center point right there. So I'm going to measure down from the top, get that measurement, and I'm going to duplicate the center onto our 1/2 inch piece of plywood. And we will also place our center mark here as well. So at this point now, the way I see it on this tooth, we have a little bit of extra room. That's an 1 1/4 circle. I might be able to go just a little bit bigger on that, and I think I'm going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my compass, I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to mark it on our tooth here just to verify that everything is okay. And once we get that done, I'm going to mark the circle on the 1/2 inch piece of ply. I don't know if you noticed there, but I actually moved my center line up about 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to mark that center line, and we are going to draw some lines down from the top that are going to meet up with that circle. And we're now going to take this over to the scroll saw, and I'm going to cut this little pocket out. Well, I just want to verify that our pocket is not going to go outside the edges of our tooth. And you know what? It looks great there. So what we want to do is we're going to take this piece. We're going to apply a thin layer of wood glue here. We're going to glue our top with our pattern on it right here, lining it up with our 1/2 inch piece of stock. We're going to clamp this together and let it dry up. You want to make sure as well that you clean up your squeeze out on this inside edge. Well, our glue is dry, and we're just going to unclamp this, and you should have something that looks like this. And here's our pocket in the back. Now guys, I'm going to take this over to the scroll saw and I'm going to cut this out. but I'm going to do a real-time scrolling. The reason for that is that there's too many people out there that think that scrolling is a really, really fast process, and then they try to go fast and can't understand exactly why it is that their cuttings aren't working or they're getting poor results. But as you can see here, this is not a fast process. This is not something that you just fly through. You want to take your time. This is why scrolling is so relaxing, because it's just a matter of sitting back, taking your time, controlling your stock, turning it as you go, and carefully aligning your blade with your lines. Guys, if you find that you're going off your lines or having problems with control, slow down on your feed. Ease up on the amount that you're pushing your stock in. Go slower. There's nothing wrong with going slow. What is important is that you're happy with the final results. So we're going to get the perimeter cut on this entire tooth, and once we're done, then I'll show you what you end up with. Now guys, if you're not interested in this full length scrolling, you can just check the time out right here and scan forward to get to the ending of it. And when it's all said and done, you end up with this. Now, guys, what you want to do at this point, check it for any rough edges, especially here on the back. We need to clean this up, and this here, right here at the edge, where our pocket meets our tooth, you want to get in here, and you can use a file or you can use sandpaper, but just take that sharp edge off, because you're going to have little ones that are going to want to touch this, and we don't want that sharp edge. So you can remove your pattern, give this thing a good sanding, and then we're going to put this aside. Well, now it's time to make the door hanger part of our project, and there's a bit of marking and layout to do. Guys, it all starts off with a 1/2 inch thick piece of plywood, and I've cut it to be 3 1/4 inches wide and 11 inches long. And the very first thing I want to do is on the bottom, choose which one you want as the bottom, it doesn't matter, I'm going to choose this side. I'm going to place in the corners, using an 1 1/4 inch circle template, I am going to mark this off and round off our bottom corners. Now on one side, on the left in my case, I'm just going to place a mark here at 6 5/8 of an inch, right here. I'm going to square that off, and once I have that squared off, I'm going to round it over, just like that. I'm going to round it over with that same 1 1/4 inch template, just on the left side. There we go, just like that. So this bottom section here now is where our tooth is going to eventually get mounted, but we'll get into that after. Now from the bottom, we're going to place a mark here at 10 inches. I normally would just use my T-rule just to mark it right across, but I don't have it clamped down, so it's easier just to do what I'm doing. So we're going to square off a line at 10 inches. And this 1 inch here is actually scrap. So why didn't I cut it at 10 inches? Well, because we want to make a curve here, and I didn't want to end up getting a flat edge. I want to give myself some room to work. If you want to cut that a little less, you can. But at the center here, we're at 3 1/4 inches. So we're going to make a center line here. So half of 3 1/4 is 1 5/8. So there you go. There is a center line. And using our compass, we will line up with that center line and the edge of our board right there. And then we will line up with this line at 10 inches, just like that. And this will be our pivot point. So we're just going to put our compass there and we will draw our circle. Now this should be a 3 1/4 diameter circle. And there we go, that's that. So what I want to do at this point is I want to come in from one edge at 3/4 of an inch. Just place a little mark, and that is just going to be to set our compass. So we're going to place the point of our compass back into our pivot point that we just drew that 3 1/4 diameter circle with. We're going to set our compass at that line at 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to draw a circle there. There we go. Now at our midpoint, we know where our center is of our circle. We can see that little hole punched there. We're just going to square that off, and then using a 3/4 inch circle template, we are going to round that piece off completely. But now we need to get our transition from this circle. This is going to hang over a doorknob. So we need to get the transition now from here around and then to come over to meet up with this circle here. So it's not really rocket science at this point. We're just going to set our compass for some arbitrary amount. I don't even know what. And we're going to join those two lines together and just see if we like the shape. There we go. Yeah, you know what? That works for me. That works just fine for me. It kind of alleviated our need for that 1 1/4 template there, but that's okay. I like the way that's shaped. It looks great. It's got a nice flow to it. The only thing I don't really like here is I think I'd like this here to be just a little bit lower. You don't want to go too much because you want to leave room there to be able to fit the shaft of your doorknob in. So let me just find this 3/4 inch circle template again. And I'm just going to lower it ever so slightly, just below that halfway point. Now I only really came down maybe about 1/4 of an inch there, but it's enough to make a difference for me, and I like the way that looks. All right, so once that is done, guys, that's all the marking and the layout for this project. This is it. It's as simple as that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this over to the scroll saw. I'm going to cut it out. If you're not comfortable with your scrolling ability or your bandsaw ability, because this is also a good bandsaw project, you can cut outside the lines and sand using either hand sanding or an oscillating drum sander, a belt sander, a disc sander, whatever you have, and you can get this cut out. So guys, I'm going to get this cut out, get it to its final shape, give it a little bit of a sanding. You don't want to go too much because you don't want to wear through that veneer layer of the ply. And then once we get that done, I'll show you the next step. And when you get it all sanded and shaped, this is what you end up with. Now you can, if you want, it's up to you, you can just glue this tooth on here just like that and be done with this project. And this would be the little pocket where the tooth goes in here, and then the tooth fairy would come and take the tooth and leave the money right here, and that way they wouldn't wake up your child. So I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm going to go a little step further. And what I want to do is I want to decorate both this tooth and our back plate. So I don't think we need a video of me decorating this. I'm going to do a little bit of laser engraving on the back here. I don't quite know what I'm doing with the tooth yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And then once I get these decorated, I'm going to bring them back here to the bench, show you how I decorated them as far as what I've done to them, and then I'll show you what the final step here is in this project. Well, it's been a week since we last visited this project, or since I last visited this project, and I have everything decorated the way that I wanted. Guys, what I've done here is I have taken our backboard, or our hanger, and I've just laser engraved some stars and a moon in it, because of course the child will be sleeping when the Tooth Fairy comes, and I've just said, Tooth Fairy, please stop here for pickup. I have taken some normal craft white tempera paint and I have painted our tooth, and in between each coat I have sanded with 600 grit sandpaper just lightly to take any raised grain off, because of course it is a water-based paint. I have left the back, the very back, unfinished because we need it for our wood glue. And what I've done is I have gone on the Cricut cutter that my wife owns and I cut out this cute little face. Now guys, also what I've done is I've made this little bow out of ribbon, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue this to the top corner here of the tooth to make it look like a little girl. There we go, just like that. I'm going to glue that on there, and then the last step to do is to glue our tooth very carefully centered here on our hanger. And that, guys, is the project. But you know what? We've got a little bit of extra time here today. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to demonstrate for you guys how to make these cute little ribbons if you're interested. Well, in order to make one of these cute little ribbons here for your tooth, all you're going to need is a little bit of ribbon and a fork. And let me show you here, guys, what you want to do. So we're going to take this ribbon, we're going to place it on our fork, just like this. We're going to wrap our ribbon around, and you want to make one side a little longer than the other. You can always trim it later, it's no big deal. So we'll just take this much ribbon and trim it off. So you're going to take your ribbon and we'll have it laid across our fork, just like this. We're going to bring this piece around the back, and then we're going to tuck this longer end down through the center of our fork tines, just like this. And we're going to pull it here. Now you want to make sure that we're not twisting up or bunching up the ribbon here at the edge, so we'll just keep it as straight as we can. There we go. Can you see that? So you have this piece of ribbon here. Now we're going to bring this up around the back and back down through the tines of our fork. There you go, just like that. And at this point, you just want to tie a knot. Just like this. And now we want to tighten the knot. So as you tighten it, you're going to pull these ends down to the bottom, just like this. Tighten it some more, bring it down to the bottom, tighten it a little more, like that. Pull these to the bottom. There we go. Pull them down, and then once you get that done, you can just slide this off the fork, and you have a cute little bow for your decoration. Isn't that cute? All right, so you can add this to your decoration. It doesn't take much. A little bit of hot glue on the back will hold it nicely in place, and that's it. So guys, all we need to do now is glue our tooth centered here on our backboard. You just want to be careful that you don't get any squeeze out. On the inside is acceptable. Clean it up as best you can, but on the outside, try not to get any. And what you end up with is this. How adorable is that? I made the other ribbon here on the show, so I figured I might as well use it, so I stuck that on there as well. But look at how cute that is.
And I mean, if it's for a little boy, you don't have to put those ribbons. You can do something else. You can make your own design. You can put a little bit of hair, a little bit of fur, maybe a mustache, whatever you like. But have some fun with it, guys. Go out of your way, have some fun, and you know what? Try to make one of these. This was a fun project. I enjoyed that.
And there you have it. A tooth fairy door hanging. Guys, I know the tooth fairy personally. I have met them several times, and I'm going to tell you firsthand, the tooth fairy is very clumsy. The tooth fairy trips over things. The tooth fairy accidentally stumbles and sometimes wakes up a child while trying to take that tooth to leave them the money after they've lost one of their baby teeth. It just happens. I don't know why the tooth fairy is so clumsy. They just are. So, this is a fantastic project. If your child is a light sleeper and you don't want the tooth fairy to wake them up while they're exchanging money for teeth, then this is the project for you. Why not have the young one help with the project? Why not have them help design it? Maybe help design the face, maybe decorate the tooth. Get the young one involved in the project. Because that tooth pocket is painted with a water-based washable tempera paint, how perfect for a child. There's no reason they can't paint that tooth white. And if they want to put googly eyes on it, they can. What's wrong with a little bit of school glue and dab those on there? Or maybe a little bit of hot glue with some help from mommy or daddy. It's a great project to get them involved. And it gives them the opportunity to benefit from the tooth fairy's generosity. Like I said, I know the tooth fairy personally, and I can tell you that the tooth fairy would love to see these on all kinds of children's doors when the tooth fairy comes to collect those teeth. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed the project. This one's a lot of fun. I actually saw this idea on Amazon, and I was a little surprised at the price they were charging for these, considering that I made it for all of maybe about $1.50 worth of scrap material, if that, and a little bit of my time. So guys, this is a worthwhile project that's very economical, great way to use up scrap, and a great way to get your young ones into the shop. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We have a fantastic audience base, and I'm hoping you're going to consider becoming a part of that. You don't believe me? Check out the comments below. There's a lot of great people that watch this program. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's project. I hope you're going to give this one a try for yourself. But more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.